greet you all. I want to believe you are learning from the comfort of your home at this moment. Please permit me to quickly advise you to stay safe and try as much as possible to maintain the highest level of personal hygiene. Stay tuned as we learn together. We want to consider briefly on the topic respiratory system and organisms. In some organisms, may not necessarily all the organisms. So we're going to be talking about some organisms in respiratory systems and some organisms. I still remain my humble self, so Emmanuel O. Respiration is a metabolic process. It's very important catabolic process in living organisms because it is through this process that energy used for different activities of living organisms such as synthesis of protein, lipids, etc., germination, growth, movement, etc., is made available. It is a catabolic process in the sense that leads to breaking down of larger component into smaller components. So we'll see clearly as we proceed. Definition of respiration. Some of us mistaking respiration to just be breathing or gaseous exchange. You'll see the difference today. Therefore, respiration is the breakdown of food substance. This food substance is mainly glucose to release energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate. Some people don't even know the full meaning of ATP. You are used to ATP. This is now the full meaning, adenosine triphosphate. The form of energy we need, even as I'm talking to you now, I'm using ATP. So the breaking down or the breakdown of food substance, mainly glucose, to release energy in this form of ATP is called respiration. Now, types of respiration. We have two main types of respiration. One of it is aerobic respiration. And this involves the use of oxygen in the breakdown of glucose to release energy. Of course, you know the ATP I mean there. See the chemical equation below. Any process of breakdown of energy that involves the presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration. Look at this chemical equation below. This is glucose. See, this one is glucose, and then in addition to oxygen in the presence of enzyme, particularly oxidase enzyme present here that brings about the breakdown of this glucose in the presence of oxygen is called oxidase to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This energy is in the form of ATP. So we have this product. I may ask you, what are the products of cellular aerobic respiration? You could tell me carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now, this takes place in the mitochondrion of every cell. Mitochondria, I hope you're aware, you still remember, this is an organelle in a cell where cellular respiration takes place, particularly aerobic respiration. And then there are these two types of respiration. One is this aerobic. Now let's check the second one. Anaerobic respiration. This does not need oxygen. It doesn't need oxygen to break down the glucose to release energy. In this type of respiration, glucose is partially broken down into pyruvic acid. So it's a partial breakdown. It's a partial product of glucose is this pyruvic acid. And this acid is then converted to ethanol, hence alcoholic fermentation. So the process of alcoholic fermentation is this anaerobic respiration. So when glucose undergo alcoholic fermentation in the absence of oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. See the equation below. This is glucose being broken into ethanol and carbon dioxide together with energy. One of the similarities is that carbon dioxide is formed and energy is also formed in both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. But because of the fact that this one produces ethanol, it is called alcoholic fermentation. So this is very important commercially in brewery industries where they produce alcoholic drink. Anaerobic respiration also happens in animal cells, but not leading to the production of ethanol. Now look at that. In animal cells, the pyruvic acid from glucose is converted to lactic acid, not ethanol, as in the case of the fermentation of alcohol. So instead of this alcoholic production, the glucose is being, the pyruvic acid is being converted to lactic acid. And this lactic acid is what make an athlete man to be fatigued. Is an athlete man after a heavy duty exercise, he'll be complaining of pains around the joint, the muscle. What's there making that pain? There is the accumulation of the lactic acid. Look at the equation. Glucose is being converted to lactic acid. If you see this lactic acid is different from the ethanol here, and then plus energy. Note this, that in anaerobic respiration, each molecule of glucose yields only 2 ATP molecules compared with the 38 molecules obtained in aerobic respiration. In other words, in aerobic respiration, greatest amount of energy is produced compared to that of anaerobic respiration. Take note of that. Now let's consider some properties of or characteristics of respiratory surface. Every respiratory surface must be large to volume ratio. That's what we call presence of large surface area to volume ratio. Place that off there, to volume ratio. Take note of that. Presence of wet or moist surface for easy diffusion. Presence of thin and permeable membrane. All of these, the essence of this wet, moist, thin and permeable membranes to allow passage of substances such as water, oxygen or gases as the case may be. The surface of every respiratory organism structure must also be closely linked to the transport system, having a very rich supply of blood capillaries. Now we're going to be considering or looking at some of the various types of respiratory systems as we summarize them below. One of it is body surface respiration. The respiration takes place through the body surface as we have in unicellular organisms like amoeba, paramecium. These are unicellular organisms and some of them. So where gaseous exchange takes place through the plasma membrane by means of simple diffusion. We have moist or wet skin in hydra, in earthworm, and in flatworms such as tapeworm, planaria, and liver fluke by means of simple diffusion. We have tracheal tube and spiracle in insect. Majority of the arthropods, all the insects like cockroach and grasshopper, they possess tracheal system for gaseous exchange. And then we have gill respiration in fishes and tadpole. What do we mean by this tadpole? That the young newly hatched toad and frogs. So see the structure of the gill below. From this structure, you could observe that we have the gill arc. The three major structure of a gill you could observe there: the gill arc, the gill recus, and the gill filament. So this plate, this one you can see there is the gill filament. This is the major place where gaseous exchange takes place. And then we have the gill recus. These projections you can see for the attachment of the entire gill to the head of the fish, and also they are called strainers. The strainers, solid and hard particles, and also food particles from the water with the help of the strainers or gill recus. And then we have the gill arc that connect the gill filament and the gill recus. Now we have lung respiration and also cutaneous respiration. The cutaneous respiration occurs in toad and frogs, as well as even in earthworm, with the use of their body surface, the moist skin, to exchange gases. Now, looking at this book lung in arthropod, particularly in arachnids such as spider, the tick, and all of that. Those are arthropods, particularly the arachnids. They possess book lungs for gaseous exchange. The lenticel and stomata are also respiratory system, but they occur in higher plants. Lenticels occurs in stem and roots, and they will have stomata occurring on the leaves of higher plant, mainly for the exchange of gases. And then we have the lung respiration in terrestrial vertebrates such as the birds and mammals and some other vertebrates. So at their alveoli, as you can see in the structure, the alveoli is where gaseous exchange takes place in organisms that use lung for their respiration. So when you look at this mammalian lung as shown in the diagram, we have the larynx, we have the trachea. Look at this trachea, this portion, this tube-like structure. And when it branched into bronchus. And from bronchus to secondary branches, and then until we get to the alveoli. Look at the alveoli. Look at this small round portion here has been cut to be magnified here, so as to show how alveoli looks like. Alveoli are just like air bags, air sac inside the lungs of mammal, where gases are being exchanged by simple diffusion. Now let me take you through the route through which oxygen inhaled passes. Well, as soon as you inhale oxygen through your nostrils from the external environment, it goes to the pharynx, from the pharynx to the larynx, from the larynx to the trachea, from the trachea to the bronchi. The one that branch to left and right, and then from the further branches of the bronchi, they form the bronchioles. And then finally, when the bronchioles greatly branch, it forms alveoli. And this alveoli is where we have gases being exchanged by simple diffusion in mammalian lungs. Now, let us compare between gaseous exchange and respiration, as well as breathing. Some of us mistaken, we use them often interchangeably, but they are not exactly the same. Let's compare them. Breathing involves muscular movement. All this intercostal muscle, the rib cage, raising the diaphragm, and the movement of the muscle, the muscular movement, which keep the respiratory surfaces supplied with oxygen, is what we term breathing. It is indeed different from gaseous exchange. And gaseous exchange simply involves the exchange of gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide across the respiratory surfaces by simple diffusion. So the two gases that are involved majorly in respiration is oxygen, which we need, we inhaled, and then the product of it, which is a byproduct or a waste product that needs to be expelled or to got rid out of our body, is carbon dioxide. So when this oxygen moves in and then the carbon dioxide goes out, by simple diffusion is what we mean gaseous exchange. And then respiration is the breakdown of food substance, like I mentioned or I emphasized earlier. Mainly glucose, the breakdown of food substances, mainly glucose to release energy. And the energy there is, of course, in the form of adenosine triphosphate, shortened as ATP, which take place in the mitochondria of every living cell. So that organelle, mitochondria, is very important. And it is the engine, it is the powerhouse of every living cell, because it produces energy needed for every activities of living organisms. Please, I want to believe you learned a lot from this discussion. I want you to attend to this assignment. Very important. We have to submit it to this number stated there. You have to draw and label correctly the tracheal system of the cockroach. That's one of the respiratory system. Draw and label correctly the tracheal system of the cockroach. Submit your answer to this number. Thank you so much.
Nobody